We are all anxiously awaiting for that announcement, that Woj bomb, the Sham, Brian Windhorst, whoever it is, make the official announcement that Kyrie Irving has been traded to the Lakers. Well, we do have a new update thanks to Woj and Brian Windhorst. They both kind of echoed pretty much the same thing when it comes to Kyrie Irving, and that is that the Lakers and the Nets kind of have their package done, right? I made a video about it the other day where I talked about like the deal is basically done, right? The deal, both sides know what the deal for Kyrie Irving is going to be, what it's going to look like. There are talks about, that the Nets want a first-round pick for Kyrie. It's already been worked out. We already know that the Lakers are giving up a first-round pick, and the Nets are doing whatever they can to kind of scramble and gain as much leverage as possible. But both echoed that the deal is in place. Will some little maybe nuances change depending on the Kevin Durant trade? Possibly, but the main core, the main structure is already there. The only thing that is waiting on, and again, both echoed the same thing, is Kevin Durant. What is going to happen with Kevin Durant? Brooklyn isn't making the announcement for Kyrie Irving because they want to wait and see what develops with Kevin Durant for a multitude of reasons. One would be leverage, right? You go to these teams, hey, we're trading Kyrie Irving to the Lakers, something that I've said and echoed here on this channel on several occasions, on many of these update videos. It makes sense, right? The Phoenix Suns, hey, you don't want to give this up? Well, guess what? Kyrie Irving's going to the Lakers. Do you really think you can beat the Lakers with Kyrie, LeBron, Anthony Davis as currently constructed? Or wouldn't Kevin Durant really help you? Wouldn't that really elevate you? And maybe it incentivizes teams to push a little harder for Kevin Durant. The other thing that was echoed by Woj and Windhorst was that by waiting it out with Kevin Durant before you announce the Kyrie trade, once the Kyrie trade is announced and official, that's it. You have no other options. You have no flexibility. You have nothing. It's done. But what happens if Kevin Durant doesn't get traded, right? What happens if they decide to keep Kevin Durant for a year? Well, do you still trade Kyrie Irving? Do you decide to keep Kyrie Irving and see if maybe they can kind of work it out for a year and say, hey, give us one more year? Maybe Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving can sit down and kind of say, all right, well, we'll run it for another year and see what happens. And then if you get into the season and they're great, maybe you keep it running. Not just that, but you have the panic kind of build up for these other teams. Say the Phoenix Suns start the season and they get to the trade deadline and it's not going the way that they planned, or what happens if, CP3 with his injury history ends up getting hurt or something like that. He's going to miss a substantial amount of time. If you trade Kyrie Irving immediately, well, then it kind of ruins everything. Now you have no flexibility. You lost Kyrie. So even if Kevin Durant does stay, well, now you're in this position where, well, you have Kevin Durant, but you don't have Kyrie Irving, and your likelihood of winning a championship decreases tremendously. Not just that, but as soon as Kyrie is gone, Kevin Durant could push harder for a trade. And that's another thing that they're worried about. Because right now, Kevin Durant hasn't really said anything. We know that he requested a trade and he spoke to the owner of the Nets, but outside of that, we haven't heard anything from him. All of the reports and information that's out there are all reports and information. We don't know if it came from Kevin Durant. We don't know if it came from a camp. We don't know if the Suns and the Heat were the ones that threw it out there, that Kevin Durant wants to come here. We only are going off of what information that reporters are putting out there. But we haven't heard anything publicly from Kevin Durant. So the issue is if you trade Kyrie Irving, does Kevin Durant become more vocalized and push harder for a trade? And if you're the Brooklyn Nets, you lose all the leverage. Because what happens if Kevin Durant says, I only want to go to the Suns. You're trading me to the Suns, and that's it. You can have Kevin Durant play. You have him 4 years. You can play hardball with him. But the problem is now you have a Kevin Durant that doesn't want to be there, that's not bought in, that's not focused. I don't think he's a guy that's going to sit, but he's a guy that can just make life difficult. And that's what you don't want to happen. Also, you're trying to get the best package possible for Kevin Durant. Again, Kyrie, the trade is established. They already know what the trade for Kyrie Irving is. It's been echoed by Woj, it's been echoed by Windhorst, it's been echoed by several other people that the deal has been worked out. Sean Marks went to Las Vegas Summer League to sit down and speak to these GMs and stuff and try to work out deals in person. We've seen Rob Pelinka and Sean Marks be buddy-buddy. We've seen all the writing on the walls, right? All of the little clues, all of the little Easter eggs that the deal is done for Kyrie Irving. It's just waiting on Kevin Durant because Brooklyn, it's in their best interest to be as patient as possible. There hasn't really been a hard push. There hasn't really been a bidding war. But things change. Teams, as we move closer to the training camp and into the season, teams are very likely going to be more aggressive because they want to get the deal done. They want to go into training camp with Kevin Durant. You still have a month and a half away before this. So they don't have a need to rush. They could drag this out for months if they want to. Will they? I personally don't think so, but it wouldn't be surprising. It wouldn't be shocking at all. Now, when it comes to the Kyrie Irving trade, it is still possible that trade ends up happening. When the rumored report is that it'll happen around the 17th, on or around the 17th, which is still a possibility. We're still 6 days away. But the idea is that if, based on what Woj and Windhorst reported, that it's very possible that Kevin Durant is the first domino that falls, thus completing the Kyrie trade, that they'll likely be announced at the same time. That's also what the kind of reports for the 17th are, that they'll both be announced simultaneously around that time, because that way it's just kind of either just one package deal or it's, two separate deals, but the announcement comes at the same time. Now, Kyrie could always be the domino, but it doesn't mean that they have to rush that announcement, because even if the deal is done, you had the spit in the handshake type thing, which I believe is done. All the reports, all of the signs, everything indicates the deal is done, that Kyrie Irving is going to the Lakers and that he'll be a Laker by this season. But you don't need to make that announcement official until it has to happen, until it's like, okay, time is here. They're still working it out. There's reports of DeAndre Ayton maybe signing an offer sheet with the Indiana Pacers, because the Indiana Pacers are getting impatient waiting for the Kevin Durant deal. So if that happens, that completely eliminates DeAndre Ayton from trade conversations, because yes, the Phoenix Suns can match, but they can't trade him till January. So that completely nullifies that, or they have to wait till January to trade for Kevin Durant. So this could be something that gets dragged on. Now, I've talked about all of these things. I've talked about how the 17th seems to be the day that people are echoing, the word around Vegas, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you got to remember, all of this stuff is just speculation. It's all just reports. The Brooklyn Nets, they don't need to do anything. I mean, I don't think Brooklyn would be willing to just pay Kyrie Irving to sit out for the year and just deal with that headache, deal with that disaster, deal with all the nonsense. But maybe they will. You never know what these teams are going to do. If they believe like, hey, we want to get the Kevin Durant deal done first, we already have the deal for Kyrie Irving to the Lakers, they can wait. The Lakers, maybe they get desperate and they add more, because it's like, well, they really are going to hold him until, the season starts. So maybe we throw in that other first or something like that, or maybe we give him another pick swap just so we have him going into training camp. It just adds leverage. Until the deal is official, there's always room for things to fall through. There's always room for things to change. There's always room for things to evolve. And so Brooklyn being patient, as much as it is a leverage play and they don't have much leverage, it is the best scenario for them, because as soon as it's official, that's it. It's done. You can't go back. So now you have to go forward. Now you have to get the deal done. And now that just ruins any maybe potential, conversations, things like that. I don't think they want the headache for Kyrie Irving. I don't. I think Kyrie Irving can make that team a total implosion if he is on that roster come training camp. Whether he plays or not, I think he could be a total dumpster fire over in Brooklyn. But maybe they don't care. If they're not getting the package that they want, maybe they just look at it as like, well, let's wait it out. Because the deal that they have with the Lakers, it's going to be the same deal in January. It's going to be the same deal in February. It's going to be the same deal in September. Whether it's a week, a month, a year from now, the deal is going to be the same, because the Lakers only have so many things. And so the Brooklyn Nets hope is that maybe if we draw it out, we can use Kyrie as leverage and we can get a deal done for Kevin Durant. If we keep Kevin Durant, maybe Kyrie will ride it out for a year to play with his buddy one more season. Maybe we can win a championship, and then that will entice them to stay even further. Maybe that happens. Or, maybe some random team comes out of the woodworks and decides that they want Kyrie Irving. I don't think that happens, but you never know. It doesn't hurt if you're the Brooklyn Nets doesn't hurt to wait it out because the Lakers are going to want him no matter what. The Lakers are going to keep him no matter what. They're going to make the trade and whatever it is, no matter what. So for Brooklyn, it makes all the sense in the world to write it out. As frustrating and painful as it is, it does. It makes a lot of sense. But last little sort of side note, with the Lakers, they are planning, based on reports, to kind of position and go after Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Now, we've talked about this before. We've talked about a separate video with just these two, but also in like a multi-team trade deal that is reported and various things like that. If the Pacers do decide to put in an offer for Ayton, then they need to do something with Miles Turner. Now, there is a report that they could swap Turner and Ayton. Problem is that if they do that, that basically takes the Suns out of the Kevin Durant scenario entirely. Because even if they get Miles Turner, they lose a lot of that leverage. So it's going to be interesting to see how that develops. But if the Pacers do decide to sign Ayton, then that makes Miles Turner available. And that's the thinking the Lakers have, is that, oh, we can go and trade and get Miles Turner and Buddy Hield to add to our team. And I know many people might be thinking like, well, we already signed, two centers and Damian Jones. And then we also got blanking on his name. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name, but you know who I'm talking about. They ended up signing those two centers. So why would you go get Miles Turner? Well, the reason you go get Miles Turner is because it's still Miles Turner and you can run multiple bigs. A lot of those guys, Thomas Bryant, I don't know why I blanked on that, but yeah, he's a guy that could probably play the four, right? He's a guy that could space the floor, knock down the outside shot, knock down the three, stuff like that. So maybe you can make it work. Miles Turner, he's a guy that could step out, block shots, things like that. You're probably going to miss Anthony Davis 20 games out of the year, stuff like that. So it's things to keep in mind. Miles Turner has played power forward before with the Pacers, so he could probably do that in stretches. But it's very likely the Lakers pivot and try to get this done because they could get this done and still go after Kyrie Irving. So we'll see. We'll see how it all develops. But that being said, as always, this is a discussion, so I want to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. What do you think of this information? Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think is going to end up developing? Do you think that they'll trade Kyrie before Kevin Durant? Do you think that they will wait for Kevin Durant? Is it frustrating that they're just kind of buying their time? Like I said, as much as it sucks, it is in the Nets' best interest. Believe me, I want Kyrie Irving to the Lakers. I am a Laker fan. I want to see it happen. I am excited for it. I think it makes us a legit contender. I think it makes us one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, if everyone is healthy. But it makes, if I remove my bias, it makes a ton of sense for the Brooklyn Nets to just be patient, wait it out, and buy your time, and then see what develops. You can always trade them. The Lakers trade is not going to change. That's going to be there no matter what. So patience is key for both sides, even the Lakers. The Lakers are doing the right thing by being patient as well, because as soon as you start to cave, you start to lose all your leverage. So we'll see how it all shapes up. We'll see how it develops. Again, love to hear your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. One last little shameless plug is I did start As It Stands Lakers. It is a channel just like this, dedicated to only the Lakers, because the Lakers are my favorite team. And on this channel, As It Stands, I talk about all teams, all sports, stuff like that. We have football season coming up, so I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. And I just wanted to make a dedicated channel to the Lakers to give the ins and outs. Now, all the big stuff, all the big news and stuff, I will still post here on this channel. But if you want all the ins and outs and just rumors and theories and just discussions just strictly on the Lakers, link down in the description or in the comment section. Go check out the channel, subscribe to the channel. I'd really appreciate it. That being said, hit that like button. Helps me out a lot, lets me know you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button, followed by the bell notification. Stay up to date with all things sports. Join this wonderful community and all of our discussions. I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you.